looking at my live stream.
Oh,
Get
that's
some
great.
Inception going.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. We're already we're professional streamers too. That's the best part, when everything just kind of blows up in your face.
I mean, maybe you're a professional streamer.
Oh, that's good stuff.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yay!
All right. I guess it's working. Huzzah!
Awesome.
All right. So JJ, hi. How are you?
I'm great, sir. How are you?
I am doing okay.
Just okay.
So I got a new computer, a new laptop, and it's quite a powerful machine. And I'm attempting to run Windows as my primary operating system.
Oh.
And so I'm having to learn a bunch of things that I long ago purposefully forgot, and sort of relearn some of my Linux muscle memories into Windows muscle memories. So far, it's been pretty good. So using WSL2, the Windows subsystem for Linux, has been a pretty good experience. I have most of my command line work through Linux, and of course, because I love to feel pain, I'm also trying out a new shell at the same time. So I'm trying out Fish Shell, which is something I've seen Brian Lyles using.
Yeah, hipster.
So I'm giving that a shot just to see how it goes. I'm not tied to it. I just thought, well, if I'm doing something new, I might as well do something new. And it's already throwing me because, if I want to set an environment variable, I have to do, let me bring it up. Usually I would do export potato equals bacon, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
It worked.
Oh, okay. So if you do export, it lets you do it. But if you just do it here, it's oh, you should use set potato bacon.
Oh.
And so I would do things like cat/etc password, which is always the best thing to do on a live stream.
Absolutely.
Oh,
you're not on a Linux box?
What? Yeah, I am.
There's an etc password inside of WSL?
Oh, maybe there isn't.
I mean, that would make sense why there would not be, right? Because it still has to talk to the host OS to get permissions, right?
Yeah, okay. There isn't a password. Well, there you go. Anyway, there's differences, and I'm still getting used to it. So I think the way I'm supposed to do it is set potato and then do that in brackets, but not a $ brackets. So there's a bunch of stuff I'm learning new, and I just realized my font's pretty small. Oh yeah, and to do the font increase in here is just Control and scroll wheel, where I'm used to Control Shift and plus.
That's weird.
Yeah. But I'm getting there. But what's interesting is there's for PowerShell, there's a thing called Oh My Posh. And so you can run that, or you can run Starship. And so I have basically the same prompt in my Windows terminal as I do my Linux terminal. So that's kind of cool.
That's cool.
Now, here's a fun thing I discovered. The Windows, the file system sharing between Windows and Linux, it mounts your C drive to /mount C inside your Linux hosts in WSL2, but it's really slow. And so if you have a Git repo with a lot of history, and you've got a shell that does a Git status to see what all, if you had changes and stuff, it takes 15 seconds to get it pumped back up.
Ooh, that's gross.
But what I discovered is I can do this. Good old Windows Explorer. I can do WSL $, and it gives me my Linux hosts. And so I can access their file systems. And so what I've found is I can use this, and it's a lot faster sharing Linux to Windows than it is Windows to Linux. So I've sort of got that sorted out. And the other cool thing I found, I'll go ahead.
Wait. I think you just said the same thing twice. It's much faster from Windows to Linux instead of Linux to Windows.
No, it's much faster doing the Linux file system to Windows through that WSL dollar share than it is to access Windows from /mount C.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So it's okay. Cool. All right. I'm with you now.
Yeah. So there's a few things, and the other thing is VS Code. If you've got the remote open, you can actually set WSL targets.
Oh, that's cool.
And access it that way as well. But what I've got going right now is I've got an SSH target set up, and I've got that set up to your Bastion box. And so the files that we're editing here are all on that Bastion box.
That's
so
cool.
If we look at here, I think we went to stream, put a date in there, Ansible. So I can do a cat make file, right? And that's what I get. I can change that. Oh, see, I don't know my buttons. And then I do a cat map file, and you see,
nice.
Bastion box, it's already updated. And so what it does is it actually runs a VS Code server on the Linux host through a port forward when you SSH in. And then your VS Code acts as a client and connects to that. And when you connect to a server, to a new box for the first time, it'll actually copy the binary across and run it. It'll see if you're Linux or Windows and figure it out. And supposedly it will do the same thing with like a Docker exec or a kubectl exec, and allow you to edit files directly in a Docker image or a pod. So I haven't played with that yet, but that's kind of cool.
Nice.
So what are we doing today, JJ?
That is a great question, sir. So we bounce ideas back and forth, but today we are going to play with some Ansible and Kubernetes. Kubernetes and Ansible.
Yeah.
You've got this project going pretty well. Like, you're chugging along on it. So how about you give us a little rundown of what it is, and then from there we can kind of look at the iterations and see where we can get to today.
Sure. So it's I've built this out almost entirely on stream, although I did a few things today. Like I set up a make file and a Docker file in case we needed to use Docker on the machine we're on. And the make file is pretty simple, right? But it'll make your virtual env if you don't have one. If you want a kind cluster, it'll configure that up for you using my config file. If you want to make the Docker image to actually run Ansible inside of, you've got that. And then you've got deploy and you've got test cluster. And so test cluster will run this test role here. This cluster info role. And this role simply does a couple of connections to your kube cluster, right? So it just does a kubectl get nodes, and it'll print out the results. And obviously, if you can't connect to your kube cluster, it'll fail.
Nice.
So that's kind of the first thing we'll do is we'll make sure that we can connect to our cluster, and we actually need to create a cluster. So we've got a choice. So my default environment uses kind. So we could install kind on the box, or we could modify it to use IBM Cloud. So do you have a kube cluster ready to go?
Yep. Okay. Get pods. There you go. So
okay, cool.
For the work you're doing though, wouldn't it be better to use kind to show the iterations of being able to do it locally, like faster which when you're doing Ansible work, you need disposable environments to spin up and make changes and then see how they come out and then destroy it and start over again. in this
So
case,
that's why I've got the default environment for Ansible for my cluster is kind, right? So you can see I've got host localhost because I'm not actually connecting to a real server, right? And then in my group vars, I guess I don't really have much set up. You can see I've got my kubectl context, and that there matches what my kind config starts when you do a make kind. And then fqdn is then basically giving you a localhost.zip. And that way, any ingresses I set up will work.
Well, I say I went ahead and turned Docker on this box just now. So I say we actually install kind and get kind up and running, because I think that would be a better representation of working through this process instead of just us arbitrarily throwing this on the IBM cloud, when that's not kind of really the goal right now, is to kind of get to the point where you can start. Like, don't get me wrong, what you're trying to do is awesome, but we're just not quite there yet in the development cycle.
That's why I'm giving you the choose your own adventure, so you can decide. So maybe we can do some stuff in kind, and then we can validate it on your cluster when we're done. So we want releases. We want the binary. So Linux AMD 64. Let's grab this. So you know what I've been doing? I've been doing like this: move, kind, bin. Do you have a bin? Yes. So I've been doing this, right? But then I have to do a chmod, right? Plus X. What I remembered the other day is there's this command called install. Right?
Yeah, it does it for you.
And it lets you do, I think is it -M075, 0755. Right?
Nice.
And so with the one command, I can do the chmod and the copy at the same time.
Makes life so much easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's just one of those things you sort of known about, but you forget, right? So now we have that kind cluster, or we have kind installed. We can attempt to stand up a cluster. So Docker PS, that looks good. So jump back into here. We can do a make kind.
Here we go.
So that's going to spin up a new thing. And while that's running,
oh, yeah, I need to get that. My bad. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay, so we've only got Python 2.7. So is it easy to get 3 and 2.7 on a, is it CentOS?
This is CentOS box, yeah, Cent 7. I could just do DNF install Python 3, yes. That's right, they don't have DNF install. Hang on, yum install. Give me 2 seconds.
No worries. I assume you're doing this in another window because sudo.
Yep. I'm just so paranoid that because we do this on stream, the least I could do is make sure that only one key talks to root, and tmux, which is the user that we all use, as you've seen a million times, try to lock that down.
Yeah, but you don't actually SSH in as root though, right? You SSH in as your own user and then sudo root. Oh, I see. So we're pretending to be secure, but not actually being secure.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I see how we roll, JJ. I see how we roll.
Whoopsie. How you doing, Lost Algorithm? Thanks for joining us.
Oh yeah, one day I'll remember to stick my chat up in the stream. But if you do see chat in yours, just feel free to read out what they're saying, because on my end of the stream, I'm not displaying it.
Okay, not a problem.
And that way, just
right now,
there's context for folks.
Mm-hmm. 1, 3.
So here you can see our kind of starting up. It's a little bit slow, but then we are probably running on a smallish VM, I assume.
Shouldn't be too small.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, I have a bare metal box if you want to just hop in there instead.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
We'll see how we go. There's not a lot going on, so it shouldn't be too bad. Just noticed the startup was a little bit slower than I'm used to. So Python 3 is there.
Getting there. Just finished.
Oh boy.
There you go. Try now. There you go.
Oh, there it is. All right. So now I think I can do a make virtual env.
Yay.
So Python 3 actually has virtual env as part of Python itself. So instead of doing like venv blah, you do Python 3 venv.
Nice. Nice.
Now that's gonna run for a bit. It shouldn't be too bad. I haven't got it. I did clean out some stuff that we didn't need to try and make sure it was faster. But obviously it needs the Kubernetes modules. So there's a bunch of stuff it needs to get for that.
So I just got a question in my chat.
Yeah.
So what's the end goal for today, CZ? What are we trying to complete? What
is the end goal? You know what? We're just playing with Ansible and Kubernetes.
Ooh.
So basically, I have a bunch of roles that I've been setting up sort of through a couple of streams. So let's have a look at what we got. So we got this cluster info role, and so here you can see I've got a tag of cluster info, but I also have a tag for never. And so what that means is this role will never run.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless I explicitly use this tag.
Okay.
So that means if I want to cluster my tester, if I want to test my cluster, I can just run Ansible and set the cluster info tag. And so you look at my make file, that's what I'm doing here, test.cluster.
Okay.
Right? But if I just run deploy, it's going to, there's no tags. And so without it calling the explicit tag for it, it's going to fall under never and it won't run. Right? So that's the first thing I'm doing there. And then I have external DNS, cert manager, ingress, and harbor. So that's kind of where I've gotten to. And of course, Ansible will run these roles in order. So I've sort of tried to do them in rough order of how I think they want to be started up. Like obviously you want ingress before you get harbor. But you might want cert manager and external DNS before you have ingress, especially if you want to give your ingress endpoint a host name. Or you want to grab certs for your ingress endpoint. Now for ingress, I am using Contour. So if we look at our tasks here, Contour is just the ingress controller that VMware is using. And I think OpenShift is starting to use Contour as the default ingress as well.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. Maybe you can verify that and call me a liar, but my understanding is that they've started using it. And so all I'm doing in tasks is I'm running this import role. And so what I'll often do is if I have something I do frequently, like a group of steps, I'll turn that into a common role. So in here, in common Kate supply, I do a few things. First of all, I want to know what role just called it, right? And so that's with this Ansible parent role names. And it's a list, so you want to grab the first one. And then I print that out in a debug, right? And that way, every time I do this, I'm seeing what role these templates are being generated for. And then I have a staging directory, and that is set by a variable which will be set, under vars, obviously. So staging directory is ./temp. And then I have /temp as in my gitignore file, so I don't accidentally upload my staged files. And this allows me to easily have a look at like the rendered templates and make sure that they're valid if I get errors. Because sometimes when you get an error, you're not sure if it's a templating error or a manifest error. So that gives me a place I can see the rendered manifests. So if I pop back to my tasks, so the first thing I do is I make sure that exists. I make sure that the namespace exists. And if I don't pass in a namespace, it defaults to the name of the role that called it. And then I am grabbing, let me see. So I have a list that I pass through called template. And that's a list of templates to be rendered. And so you can see it grabs that and then it renders it out. And here it removes the .j2, right?
Why?
And it sets base name. Well, because .j2 says that it's a Ginger2 template, right?
Well, I mean,
and so basically what this does is it takes my, well, first of all, it renders it, and then it does the actual like kubectl apply because it does.
Oh, okay, I'm with you now. Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing I have up here is on my manifest itself and the staging directory, I have changed when false. Because I'm not actually changing any of my infrastructure with those, I'm changing my local working directory. I don't want that to trigger like a handler or anything like that.
Okay.
Right.
I'm with you. Nice.
And so if we flip back to my ingress, you can see I pass in template contour. And so one of the useful and also painful parts about Ansible is you can kind of fudge between strings and arrays and lists. So because I'm actually using template as a list in the common. And so you might expect it to be, fudge.j2, whatever, right? And that would allow me to iterate it through. But if you just pass it a string, Ansible is smart enough to go, okay, well, it's a list of size 1. So that's useful. And that's part of, I guess, Python's sort of very loose typing. But also sometimes when you're trying to validate that like data is correct, it can be a little bit painful because Python or Ansible will just try and like guess at what it is. So yeah. Nice. And then so we look at my templates and I've basically taken like the upstream base contour template and like dumped it and just like templated in namespace there. Right?
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Pretty simple. And so for each of my roles, I have a vars. Oh. Yeah, so it's one of those things, you can have things in defaults and you can have things in vars. And I'm never quite sure which one you're supposed to do. Usually I don't have a vars, but I guess when you say Ansible, just make me a new role from a like base skeleton, it includes it. And yeah, so you can see here, pretty simple. And in the Ansible community, there is kind of an argument over whether you should do ingress namespace, right? And have every variable completely flat. Or if you should have a hash. And the general rule of thumb with the Ansible community is one big flat set of variables. But I find it's then very difficult to make sure that like you've got like you're working within your own namespace of environment variables. So I like to use a list. I try not to be like super deep And so I'll often do flat under ingress. So it's always like ingress dot and then whatever. Although sometimes I guess I'll do something like this. Enabled, like, and then cert and key. So sometimes I would do something like that. But generally I try and be pretty flat. Now, what's interesting is the default behavior in Ansible is it doesn't merge hashes. And so if you were in your environment to set, here you can see I've done external DNS enabled false. Normally, if I set that, it's going to wipe the entire external DNS hash and just put in what's here, right? Which means you would have to redeclare all of your variables. Thankfully, in your Ansible config, you can set this hash behavior to merge.
Oh, okay.
And that fixes that for you. And then you can see also I've got a default inventory set to basically my default environment, which is kind. And that way, all I have to do is run Ansible Playbook and it should work. And here we have a failure. Permission denied.
You have to install something into as root? DOS
do something. What is it trying to do? Let's have a look at my Makefile. I'm sure this worked locally for me. So this might be a Ubuntu versus Linux thing. Yeah, you can see here I activate it.
Yeah, so Lost Algorithm asked, did you activate the virtual environment?
Yeah, here's my activation here.
I think that's the error that no, it's the install that's broken, isn't it?
Yeah, well, here, I'll just run it here and I'll run the commands manually. Oh my God, what is the?
You'll get there, Caesar, you'll get there. Yep, well, so everything right. He shouldn't be looking at user, so there's something funky going on. We're working on it.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just rerun this pip install. Maybe something about doing it in a Makefile it doesn't like.
Oh, weird permission, yeah.
But it should have given me permission errors for all of this stuff.
Yeah, that looks better.
All right, well, we'll see where we go.
So maybe the activate didn't work then. That's what it smells like.
Interesting. Yep. So actually, you know what I could do in here is I could do this. I actually have a variable for that. I think if I do that by using the virtual env pip3 binary, that should give me the correct effect in.
You want to give it another shot real quick?
Yeah. Oh yeah, look, that worked. So now let's do make virtual env. Yeah, okay. That seems to be better. So that's an interesting thing. I guess, like, I always forget that Makefiles aren't like bash. And so I tend to just kind of write bashy kind of things. And then, of course, I'll get occasionally tripped up by something like that. So I think we can now do...
literally what Lost Algorithm just mentioned. It's like, it's probably a difference between SH and bash right there.
Yeah. So get nodes. All right, so this looks like my cluster.
You see that wind outside? Jesus.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not allowed to look outside.
Oh, okay. For the people who don't know, it turns out Paul and I we live relatively close to one another. So when a big thing of wind throws through it, you might actually be able to hear it on both of our streams. It's always fun.
So I guess I can do a make test cluster.
To verify stuff. Yep.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Aha. No module named Kubernetes. Yep. All right. So this is another fun thing. Well, first of all, let's do a.
Gotta run your alt tabs, my friend. Starting getting.
Yeah. All right. So that's in my virtual end. So I can do Ansible Playbook. Site.yaml tags cluster info.
Don't you have to install the Kubernetes module?
So we do have that, but here's what I want to show you. Look at the Python interpreter it's trying to use.
User bin Python. Oh.
Right. So even as even when Ansible is in the virtual end, it still tries to use the system's Python. So
what that Python interpreter, what's in your Ansible.config? You can just put that in your Ansible config to force it.
That's exactly what you do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know what I'm doing.
What we can do. Yeah,
I know what I'm doing.
And I think I even mentioned it in my doc here that you can do this.
Oh,
but you're absolutely correct that so here's the thing. I'm not always sure that that's going to be the directory that someone's using. But for now, I think we can kind of just roll with that. Ansible Python interpreter. Right?
Nope.
What? Did I spell it wrong?
According to Lost Algorithm, there's an issue from 2018 that looks related. This is expected when using an explicit local host listed in your inventory.
Oh, the warning?
Because
there's the warning we're getting, which is fine. But it's he's talking about this error.
Yeah, Ansible uses global Python executable instead of virtual environment. So it's probably in we'll change your hosts maybe?
No, here we go. So maybe I spelt it wrong.
Oh, okay.
But if I do it as the environment variable here, it works. I guess that's the other thing I could have done is put it in my, this is getting really painful. I could have put it, let's find my Ansible config.
Update the docs while you're working.
Well, hopefully we don't need the docs. So I can delete it once I've.
And
it is a variable like that. So unset. Huh.
Now that's I think you're back to your Ansible.config.
No, there we go. Spelling.
Happens.
I did a JJ.
It's true. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna deny that one. Why do you think I get my name to be JJ? Right. Can't spell it wrong.
All right, that works. And now we should be able to rerun the make, and it should work in there as well.
Yay!
Yes. So now we should be able to go ahead and do make deploy. And so that's going to run our site.yaml. And while it's running that, I will show you that.
Broke.
Whoa. That's a new one to me.
Oh, good old SE Linux beating you down.
That's good. This is can you yum install that for me?
Yeah, hang on.
Or DNF install or whatever
the cool kids use. According to this, it's already installed.
Maybe it is a pip thing and it just doesn't give us the correct name. What does the Googles tell us?
It's a good question.
That looks like the
Getting there?
Okay, it's installed into easily blah. New target button Linux. I just want to know how to install it. And I don't want to use the system site packages. I just want to install it. Come on. I just like pip install. Just SE Linux. Okay.
That seemed too easy.
That. I'll rerun my make deploy. Oh God.
Lost Algorithm said that SE Linux - Python 3 because it's Python 3, not. Try go back to that other. Yeah.
So you probably need to do that as a yum install.
Oops, wrong window. Let me try. Hang on. Yep, there it is. Cool. Now you should be good.
All right.
This is only because this is a machine on the internet, right? Like that's the reason why we have to.
No, that's good. You should always have SE Linux turned on. You're a good boy.
Trying to be. Don't talk about my keys though.
No, I won't. And then, so let's in our
Oh, shit, something else
requirements.
work. 500 error this time.
Oh, that's okay. That means we're getting closer. SE Linux, I guess we want equals. Back to our prompt. Oh, yeah. So this is because we're asking for a cluster issuer before Cert Manager is fully up. Because there's a webhook, like a admission controller webhook that Cert Manager sets up. And if that's not ready when you ask for a cluster issuer, it'll fail. So that is something we need to resolve. And so if we look at our Cert Manager tasks, you can see we're just doing an import role, and then we're doing these two like that. I wonder if we do in our common role, so when you do a Kate, I think you can set wait is true. And that will wait until the resources are ready.
That is, yes, that is correct. It'll sit there and constantly ping it. Yep.
Right. So with that set, well, first of all, if we rerun it.
Item potency.
If we rerun it, it's going to work, because by the time we've rerun it, the webhook's up, right? So let's just verify that this completes. Yeah. So that completed. But really, we want to make sure it's going to work. So here's another thing about those manifests I created, is we can look at them here. And so you can see that these are the rendered manifests that got applied. So I can do, to clean up,
delete. Nice. That's all right. I got to give you points for that. That's clever. That's real clever.
All right.
That is really clever.
Now I did make the mistake of that I should need to do it in order. And so I deleted the CRDs before I deleted the cluster issuers. So that's not without potential fault. But I can do a K-N cert manager get all. So we can see we have an empty namespace. So I can rerun, make deploy. Yeah, and I guess because we're using Ansible, which kind of structures things in an ordered way, we should probably always set wait on the Kate supplies. So it's probably a good thing to remember. But if I remember correctly, your Kate supply wait is a little bit, what's the term? Like it doesn't understand how to wait for every resource.
Oh, it doesn't?
So like, no, because Kubernetes doesn't allow you to wait, right? And so basically it knows to, oh, it's a deployment. Okay, I need to poll it and wait till it says status ready. So depending on the type of resource, it may or may not actually wait.
Okay.
Like if you create a job, it moves on as soon as the job is created, not when the job is actually completed running. And often you want to make sure the job is completed running before you move on. Because your job might be to put something that the next step needs.
Yeah.
So you do have to be cognizant of that when you're running Ansible and Kubernetes together.
Mm-hmm.
And I have actually, in some other playbooks, I've actually written some checks to look at the resources that come out of the apply and then check the status on those resources. So it'll be like, oh, if the resource is a type of job, I'll make sure that the result is this. And that way we can sort of wait for it to actually complete successfully.
Mm.
All right, so we got Contour, we got Cert Manager, and we're not actually doing, so I got distracted by our errors, but I was going to show you in our default environment, we have external DNS disabled because we don't have an external DNS server. And we're kind of faking our way through it by using a zip.io, right?
Yep.
Yep. And then the other thing I might show you while we're here is in Cert Manager, I have templates, my cluster issuers. And so you remember when we did the CAs last week?
Yeah.
So you can see I kind of have that here. So I'm creating a self-signed issuer. And I'm creating a certificate of type CA is true. And then I'm creating a cluster issuer using that CA called CA issuer.
Nice.
And then I'm also setting up Let's Encrypt staging and Let's Encrypt prod.
Nice.
And just with the default HTTP ingress class, well, with the default HTTP lookup versus the DNS lookup, because I don't want to have to pass in DNS creds. And obviously, if we wanted to make this a little bit more modular, we would actually do cert manager dot ingress class, right? So if we do that and that, I think that's the only place we're using it. We can then come to our defaults. Ingress class contour.
Nice.
Right, and so if we want to deploy this onto IBM Cloud and use its ingress, we could change this to like Nginx or whatever it needs to be set to.
Yep.
And then I can set in my in the environment for that, we would set ingress enabled to false, and that way it wouldn't try and install a second ingress. Right. Okay, so it's deploying Harbor, which is obviously going to take a minute because we're doing a wait. So let's do a k-n Harbor get all. See where it's at. Interesting. We're missing a bunch of, oh, it's going to sit here trying to start up Claire until, interesting, that shouldn't be happening.
Something's broken.
Oop, too many tabs. -C Claire. Yeah, so that's interesting. I think we just introduced this behavior by using wait. So I wonder if wait is looking at the manifests. And if we look at our rendered manifest, just wasn't refreshing. Temp, Harbor. So it's creating our secrets. Let's swip to deployment. So Chart Museum, Claire, core, job service. So when we're using wait, it must be doing it like per deployment through the YAML document.
That would make sense because then it would wait for everything to come up.
Right. But here's the thing. When you write a kube manifest, you don't expect it to be ordered like that. So it shouldn't matter what order I put them in. So we might need to
remove the wait for
figure out how to make that wait be a variable. So common tasks main. So we set that, and then I think we can do namespace these properly. Oh, come on. Why would you default to 2 spaces for it? YAML file. Come on. VS Code. All right. So now I just want to quickly directory to Kate's apply.staging. Change those. And then oh no, we can do until with wait. Wait. I think that's right. And then where we do harbor tasks main. I wonder if I can even do this. Or do I need to do that? Let's try that. So this eventually failed.
Okay.
So we can rerun and we can do tags equals harbor. Oh, we can't do that. Ansible Playbook tags. Harbor. Oh, wait. I didn't set that right. false. Okay. So now that has kind of completed. Okay, get pod station harbor. So it went through and applied the whole manifest, which is good. So now I guess what we want to do is, before we actually move on, we want to validate that they're all running.
Yes.
Right. And so to do that, I think we would do something like pods running. Context. Let's just grab, we've got Kate's info in here. No, cluster info. Let's grab that.
Making progress is always good. Yeah. So I may need to run this more than once. Okay.
So I think I can block it like that.
Thanks, Lost Algorithm, for sticking around with us. Hopefully you learned something or opened something up.
With items, pods dot results. I would need to do a bunch of retrying. You know what? I'm going to decide that this is too hard basket for now. So let's just verify that hardware is actually running. Apart from Claire, which I think has issues with low resource clusters. Let's just have quick logs of that. Oops. Maybe if we just but we can do a kget ingress -a. And so you can see we have 2 ingresses, Harbor and Notary. And so we should be able to do a curl of that. and that looks right.
Nice.
And that's HTTP. We can do HTTPS, and that's going to give us a failure, but we can do a k-n cert manager get secrets. Oh. YAML CATLS. We want this guy right here. Oops. Base 64 code. Oh my God, so failing at life right now. Oh, really? Control A doesn't work?
Really? It should. Oh, it's in Vim. It's in Vim binding. You gotta hit 0.
Base 64 decode. All right. What? Come on.
Wait, what?
CA cert there. Copy that. Echo it. 64 decode. What the ever-loving? Oh, is it doing some wrapping? It's wrapping it or something. Anyways, can I data.ca.cert? See, I can't do that. Do I have to do that? Anyways, if I was to grab that CA, I could use that CA in my curl, and I wouldn't get the error. Okay, so that's basically where we're at. I guess we haven't really got through much because we found some interesting issues running this on the CentOS box, like SE Linux and stuff. So I wonder now if we do a kind delete cluster name equals demo. So let's clean that cluster out, and let's attempt to now do the same thing to the cluster you've got.
Yeah, perfect.
Cloud. Right. So first of all, I assume you've got a kubeconfig in the usual place.
Oh. Yes. Hang on. Give me a second. Let me drive.
All right.
Cluster. Nope. I hate computers.
Don't
Isn't
we
that
all?
a dumb? Isn't that it's a really weird command? IBM KS cluster config. Then you have to tell it the cluster. Like
Right.
that other cluster just seems so superfluous.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right. Oh, you don't have Coop context? Oh yeah, you do. And which of these is the right one?
The one that's green.
Oh right, duh. So we grab that. Keep trying to use the wrong hotkeys. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this guy, copy, paste, rename it to be IBM Cloud. So we don't know what that's going to be. Oh, we do, don't we? How do you get the host name of the? Oh no, we'll probably create a new ingress anyways.
Okay.
You
still need the IP.
We won't create a new ingress. Well, if we create a new ingress, we create a new load balancer and get a new IP. But let's grab your ingress host. The thing, you know how you've got that, you've already got a certificate?
Yep. Touch. There you
go. So that's it there, right?
Yep.
So if I set that, and then I set ingress enable false. And then I think there was something else I needed to do in my cluster issuers. Oh, you're also getting a certificate. So we can shut down a bunch of these roles. Right? So let's go ahead and some context. So now we should be able to do the test.cluster. Nope. Invalid kube config file. Oh, sorry, I need to do. /IBM Cloud. Hosts. Nope. What have I done wrong? Okay, environment, IBM Cloud, hosts. Don't need that file anymore. I mean, I have this set here. That should be a default. So ls. Oh, I know what I've done. I can't use, okay. Ansible, Playbook. cluster info -I. All right, so that's better because I was trying to use make, and of course make isn't passing those extra command line arguments through. So that's deployed. We can now, well, that's tested. We can now go ahead and actually just run the regular site.yaml. Oh, actually, let me show you one other setting I really like to set in my Ansible config. And that is this guy right here. Now it says display skipped hosts is false, so the default is true. But not only does that not show hosts that are skipped, but it just doesn't show tasks that are skipped. So as you build out your Ansible roles, you end up with a lot of like if then else kind of statements in your things.
Yep, I've seen
and you
that
can
before.
see here, right? Similar, we've got this says skipping localhost, right? So if we rerun it, it now just doesn't say anything about the skipped task.
Oh, nice.
And so that helps keep our output nice and clean. And so now we can rerun the whole thing. And you can see it's going straight to Harbor, right? Because it didn't need ingress, cert manager, or external DNS. And of course, we're not doing the wait on Harbor, so that finished real quick. So let's do ns Harbor, kget pods. So you can see our pods coming up, kget ingress. You can see our ingress coming up. So once our core pod is up, so let's do a watch kubectl get pods. So basically the main thing we need to see come online is core. And so core is going to give us the base website and stuff. Or maybe portal. I think portal is a Nginx proxy. And that Nginx proxy often gets in the way because it's not really configured all that well. So if you have larger images or images with lots of layers, Nginx can actually break your pushes, which I've learned the hard way. So eventually core will come up. Oh, see, Postgres and Redis. Oh, they were waiting on disks. Oh no.
Oh wait, so
no.
so we're gonna be sitting here for waiting for PVCs to come in.
I think it might even be worse than that.
Why is that?
Was there a setting we had to do to change the block type?
Oh, actually, I know those commands now by heart.
Oh yeah, well let's go ahead and run those commands.
Okay, hang on.
But first, I'm going to do a kdelete -f Harbor.
Give me 2 seconds here. Yeah. Go ahead and clean everything up, and I'll get you the commands here in a second. All right. All right. There we go.
All right. Can we see those
Oh, sorry.
commands we just ran? Oh,
You got it. I'm off.
right. So I'm going to grab these and stick them in here. History 10. Those, stick them there, because we could actually add a role to do this for us.
Oh, good call. Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we can rerun Ansible Playbook. Oops.
CD dash.
No.
CD dash. There you go. I wasn't too sure if I had to install anything locally. That's why I went into the home directory. Didn't want to step on your code.
Here we can do, let me see. So that'll again take a minute. But here we could do new folder storage. No, we don't want to do that. We want to, in my README, I have here's how to create a new role. Making roles. Ansible Galaxy init roles and name. Storage. And so now in storage, basically want to take these steps here and replicate them. So tasks main. And then actually we want to do a new file, IBM cloud.yaml. And we want to do a cloud storage. YAML when cloud provider cloud. And then let's do this. Storage templates. J2. And we want this to be home. Template. Is that -v for version? No. If you spell it right. Okay. So let's have a look how pods. We are still not liking it. So let's do a okay. Yeah, it's that classic permission denied. Which isn't this the thing that fixes?
It's supposed to, yeah.
All right, let's have a look at.
Excuse me. Ooh.
Container. So there's no init containers. Security context. Yeah, so here we're saying the security context FS group. Volume claim. Volumes, data, persistent volume claim. Let's have a look at the okay, get PBC. So IBM file gold is the storage class we should have.
That should be right, yeah. And it's bound, it's there.
Yeah, well, it's there. It's just having that classic permission denied issue.
I mean, we could, you want to hack the, no, it's not right.
Get storage class. It's definitely a file it should be using now, not block. Yeah, we should be using block, right?
So did it not take those commands?
That's the one that's the one you just created.
Yeah.
So you did so.
Hang on.
So I think.
What did I do wrong? It should be block is the default class.
It should be block as the default class. And where's our default? Is block. But blocks, oh yeah, block's the new one. IBM block gold. But the storage class here is using IBM file gold. Oh no.
Because it had already been bound. So you got to delete it and run it again.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Title delete. All right, now we can try again. We'll get there.
Yay. Progress is progress.
Oh my goodness, wrong place. What?
No, we're gonna stop at the top of the hour, right? Because we got our next thing to do.
We should stop real soon.
Okay.
So I just want to see these come up and make sure we can access it. So we'll give it a hot minute. It'll get the PVCs going, but I'll quickly talk through what we need to do here. So these are the kind of commands we need to run when cloud provider is set to IBM Cloud. So we can come up to here and set IBM Cloud. And then let's just grab that. Oh, come on. Why do you keep defaulting to 4 spaces? Yeah. Jerk over.
It's just there to, it's just there to annoy you.
Absolutely. And it's succeeding. Okay. So storage. This is some cluster. Storage. Templates. Oh my goodness. Look at my inability to spell. IMB Cloud. I don't need that because that's implied. Still got all the extra tabs. Jesus. All right, so that's that. And then so we just need to figure out the patching of the resources. So let's have a look how our pods are going. Get odds.
Just thinking about it. Not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's not requested any PVCs.
What?
What the ever-loving stateful set. Two default storage classes were found. Okay, get storage class.
What? No. No. Block gold and file gold. Oh, because the file golds got stuck around, I guess.
So one of those patches didn't work.
Take? Yeah. No, we have good bronze. It says bronze, not gold.
Oh, interesting.
So go ahead and paste that in there. Change it to gold so it removes it. Right?
Yep.
Show it again. Storage class. I don't trust it. You probably have to do it again too, completely.
Yeah. Okay, so there's only one default there, which is block gold. So delete harbor.
Excuse me.
Ansible. All right. So while that is running, pop back up here. Basically, patch out all of storage classes to be non-default. So that's something we can sort out at a later date.
Yep.
Yeah. But this is what I've started to come around on using Ansible with Kubernetes is you can actually start to like put some lightweight logic in that to resolve the differences in
it
different
becomes an
clouds
actual deployment mechanism
without trying to wrap it up inside of like YAML templates.
Yep.
Because we could be doing the same with Helm or Helm file or customize or whatever, but it just ends up being this hellish nightmare of like templates upon templates upon templates. Whereas using something like Ansible, you've got like an ordered install list, so you can actually like deliberately do them as steps.
Exactly.
Especially if we have to do things like patches. All right, so so we have our PVCs and they are block gold. So now we can do our get pods. And we're under container creating now. So that's a positive sign. And so let's do a watch, title, get pods. All right, so we've switched to running. And so now we should switch to ready. With Postgres and Redis set to ready, now we should see Harbor Core start to become ready. And also Claire should fix itself up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the other services rely on either Postgres or Redis. And so they'll just keep failing until they're up.
Databases, man, they run the world.
Come on, Core. Why is Core sitting at container? Maybe it's just a really big image.
Possibly. Oh, don't forget this is a real cluster. So nope.
Oh no.
Failed to mount.
Oh.
Is that a secret?
Oh. Yeah. So actually that is a thing that we'll need to figure out. CA download. Let's find CA. Harbor templates. Yeah, so it's expecting us to have a certificate here. Interesting. That's coming from this secret here. So I need to create this as a certificate regardless. Interesting. So the reason this was working before was because we were letting Cert Manager create a certificate as part of the ingress process, but we're not doing that anymore because your ingress already has certificates. So what that means here is I need to do something like this. if ingress disabled, we won't have time to actually do it, but I can put the logic in here. And if, and then API version certificate. Spec. Secret name. Right. So if we actually build out the certificate correctly, issuer would be our CA issuer, whatever that is. So that way, if ingress is disabled, it'll still create a certificate that it can use for its internal communication. And that should sort that out. All right, do we want to call it here? Give ourselves 20 minutes before we have to get on our next thing?
Yeah, by the way, you just started getting all choppy as soon as you started talking
muted.
there. I'm muted? No, I'm not muted.
Maybe it's me.
Yeah, might be you, my friend.
What happened?
You got all like weird and robot-y. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, let's call it. Thanks for sticking around and watching. And we'll continue on next week doing more stuff with computers. Yeah, sounds good. Bye.